Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to the most exceptional experience you'll have this evening. Yes, it is the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. First to the liberal, forgive me, first to the Republican, and then the socialist. I love this leopard print elevator music. There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for joining us tonight. You know, in the chat roll, of course, the chat roll of chat rolls, you can go to broadcastcentral.com. Well, Broadcast Central of the exceptionalconservative.com. Be a part of the actual experience. We have a very big guest on this evening. None other than Kathy Barnette. You've seen her a little earlier on Fox News. In fact, this morning she was on Fox News. And in fact, let's clear that up right there. Okay. So perfect. Is that better? Yeah, that's much better. Okay, so much. All right. So basically today, big news, and let me just, one other introduction. Mrs. Biggs is watching us via live stream and Ustream. So hopefully everything's coming together at once and there are no issues, no technical issues and things of that nature. And we can have a very, very big show. Big show tonight because Kathy Barnette will be joining us. Kathy Barnette is an adjunct professor and radio host of Truth Exchange on WYLL 1160 AM. And we will be talking about jihadism on the shores of the United States and reaction to FBI's recommendation on Hillary Clinton investigation regarding the email server. And I know a lot of you all have heard this all day today. Everybody who could be a commentator is a commentator. And it is ad nauseum, but I don't think that we've experienced anything like this since the OJ trial, when everything looked, and then prosecution couldn't close the deal. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be talking about that tonight. And Janis Hall, the J Hall War Report, will be joining us as well. We're going to be a special report on ISIS. Obama says we're winning, but the lone wolf attacks say we are not. And so we'll be looking at that amongst a lot of other things tonight. Let me just say we're going to get Mary Brockman is in the chat roll this evening. Love you, Mary. Mary is my bouncer. If you diss her, you diss me, and you will be dismissed from our particular program. Mary's also my advisor on. There have been some good comments. Yes, there have been. I had the opportunity of going on Jersey Joe and Crash's show just a little while ago, 8:30 this evening, in fact, and joining in terms of the commentary regarding Hillary Clinton. So before we really get going with gangbusters, let's do what we normally do on this program. Let the children lead us. The Pledge of Allegiance. Please take off your hats, gentlemen. Put your hand over your heart. And let the children lead us.
Your hearts, you can. Face your parents. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Woo! Amen. That is a wonderful way of opening up our program this evening. It's a little humid, very hot in Washington, D.C. And not just because of Comey and Hillary today. Stay with us. I want to play this clip for you real quick. And when we come back from the clip, you will hear Kathy Barnette.
I did not email any classified material to anyone. There is no classified material.
110 emails in 52 email chains have been determined by the owning agency to contain classified information at the time they were sent or received.
I provided all my emails that could possibly be work-related.
Several thousand work-related emails that were not among the group of 30,000 emails returned by Secretary Clinton.
I thought using one device would be simpler.
She also used numerous mobile devices to send and to read email.
There were no security breaches.
Hello, this is Kathy.
Hello, Kathy. Hang in there.
Hi, how are you?
Well,
It was
hang
my
on the line for
practice
just a
to
few.
communicate with State Department and other government
I'm
officials
sorry, I can't
on
hear
their
you.
Okay,
.gov
hang on the line for just a few.
Officers gained access to the private commercial email accounts of people with whom Secretary Clinton was in regular contact from her personal account.
No doubt that we've done exactly what we should have done.
They were extremely careless in their handling of very sensitive, highly classified information.
People will be able to judge for themselves.
We cannot find a case that would support bringing criminal charges on these facts.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
To be clear, this is not to suggest that in similar circumstances, a person who engaged in this activity would face no consequences.
Americans will find that, interesting, and I look forward to having a discussion about that.
Thank you, Reason TV, for putting the comparison side by side of Comey, James Comey, the FBI director, who said earlier today that okay, we're getting a little reverb there. Turn down just a little bit. James Comey, the FBI director, who advised that while all points of the investigation to gross negligence, that because she didn't really intend to do it, it doesn't count. So for all you mafia people out there, now you know who really Teflon Don is. And Hillary Clinton. Great comparison. We have with us tonight a Navy veteran, a mother, a wife, and a strong woman of faith. And not only those exact orders, but certainly more powerful as they go in the magnitude of the order. She and I met yesterday in Philadelphia, PA, near the Liberty Bell. She is a seismic wonder. You saw her earlier today on Fox News, amongst all the other women talking, all the other mothers talking about jihadism in the U.S. and public safety. I want to introduce to some, present to others, adjunct professor and WYLL superstar, Kathy Barnette. How you doing, young lady?
I am doing well. I'm going to have to record this and play that intro. I love it. Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, you're a great woman. You're a great woman indeed. Listen, before we get into all the spurious issues of the day, current events, things of that particular nature, how did you make it to Fox News? What exactly were they talking with you about?
I know. You know what? I am a believer in Revelation chapter 3, where it says that it is Jesus who opens up doors of opportunity for us. And lo and behold, that's exactly what he did. He opens up doors of opportunity. In such a time as this, there has to be a response of truth to darkness. And so it's no surprise to me, and I'm going to be looking forward to Jesus opening up many doors, not just for myself, but to all of us who understand truth and have the willingness to stand up and speak that truth. But today I was on there. It was so exciting. The people at Fox, I was so encouraged. I mean, there are actually correspondents naming the name of Jesus, which is always encouraging, because in mainstream media we kind of relegate all of them into being the seed of Satan sometimes.
Exactly.
But they were very welcoming, very encouraging, and today we're all there talking about terrorism from a mom's perspective. I mean, mothers are truly mama bears, and it's all about the safety of our family, the safety of our children. What kind of world are we going to hand down to them? So it was a very passionate conversation on there today.
Well, I was so glad to have had the opportunity to watch you. You are a striking woman. Let me say that. Your husband did a very, very good job picking you. And you are great, and you have a commanding presence about you. And that was fortuitous in today's discussions with the doctor who had written the book and done the studies regarding concerns of public safety in relationship to ISIS and mothers. And I want to get to that in just a few moments. We want to thank you so much for your service to our country. God bless you. But how did you know that you were black?
Let me see. Yes.
I know. Whoopi Goldberg did not inform you, but I just wanted to let you know you're not supposed to be a Christian conservative. What's up with this picture?
Right? I know, right? You know what I mean? And let me tell you, the visceral hatred from other black people against other black people who are conservative. If you're not on that Democratic plantation with them, the hate is real, and the hate is visceral. It is deep down in their bones. That we have been sold a bill of goods about. It defies all of logic. Even when I went back home recently to tell my family, I could not wait to tell my black family that
exactly
that Obama crew, the Obama administration, using the mouthpiece of Loretta Lynch, had just compared the black people, the transgender struggle, to that of the civil rights movement. I just knew eyes were going to be open, but it was not. Most of them had not even heard, because for the most part, black people tend to be very low information voters, very high emotional voters. So it did not surprise me that the majority of them didn't even hear it. But it really surprised me that even after I read the transcript to them, they immediately tried to talk about Trump, or they immediately tried to talk about how I need to get back on that plantation, and I just refused.
Now, you have 2 children, am I correct, or is it 3?
I'm sorry, I have 2.
You have 2 children, 2 beautiful boys. And
a boy, 10, and my daughter is 7.
Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. I've been in too many transgender bathrooms in Target. But you have such beautiful kids, and I want to ask you, when you are discussing children, as we all do when we're on the tarmac at airports and happen to get off our planes and get on someone else's, when we're speaking about children and grandchildren with those who happen to be on the opposite side of the fence, is there a more kindred spirit on the idea of abortion in the urban community? Are black people sincerely supportive of abortion, or is that just one of those things that they have to go along with in order to be a Democrat, per se?
You know, I honestly believe that there are 2 sides to the Democratic Party. You have those who are in high places, who are the puppeteers, and they're creating the agenda of the platform, they're pulling the strings, they're writing these narratives, and they're selling them to the people. So that's one side of it. So those are them who completely understand what it is that they're doing, what the agenda is, and so forth. And then you have the masses that swallows up the Democratic platform and don't even know what it is that they're swallowing.
Yeah.
Their mouth is just open like baby birds, and whatever whatever the Democrats, those who sit high and look low on the Democratic side, whatever they put in their throats, they swallow it with very little cerebral consideration of what it means. And generally, you find most people, black and white, on the Democratic side, they never fully take a thought to its logical conclusion. You say the word free, and they're like, "Ooh, free! We like free." Thomas Sowell, a very famous economist, wrote a book called "Moving Beyond Stage 1 Thinking." Stage 1 thinking says free healthcare. Ooh, free, I like free. Free is good. And then they just stop at the first stage of thinking. But he wrote a book talking about moving beyond stage 1 thinking. Stage 2 says, okay, but now we know free ain't free. So who's going to pay for this? Stage 3 thinking says, what do I have to give up to get free?
Exactly. Exactly. We're talking tonight with Kathy Barnette of Truth Exchange. We put her link in the chat roll for those who had broadcast central of the Exceptional Conservative Show, Truth Exchange -SOW.com. A tremendous testimony of a woman who left the left coast, better known as California IA, and headed east, along with her theological and as well ideological opinions, which were certainly more Christian and more conservative than from when she came. I want to ask you one more question before we go to our next break, and then when we come back, I want to talk with you about the issues of the day. You do have your program, you do have your show, you have your appearances that you make. What is the one thing that you want people to get from meeting Kathy Barnette, more so than anything else?
Oh, wow. One thing, let me consolidate it. Yes, I do a lot of different things. The radio program, the television appearances, the writing, the speaking, and the so forth, the conferences. But above all of those things, I am a stay-at-home mom. I homeschool my children because I believe that's the highest thing I can do out of anything else. No matter all the box appearances that I could possibly ever make in my lifetime, none of them would equal the time, the very limited amount of time that we as parents have to pour truth and logic in our children. They are going to inherit a boatload of foolishness. I mean, if we're already contending with whether or not it's proper for a grown man to walk into the shower of a 14-year-old girl, can you imagine what we're going to be continuing with in 10 years? And I believe it's my job as a parent, as a mother specifically, to pour truth into my children so that when it's their turn to stand, they will stand on strong legs and not feeble legs. They will have a strong mind, and they will be able to clearly distinguish between good and bad.
When we come back, we will be talking with our security mom, Kathy Barnette, not only about the ISIS situation, which is a very dangerous one, without any liberty of joke, but certainly the most devastating news to justice since the OJ trial of the 90s, that guilty people can't be prosecuted. We'll be back with more of the best in Urban Conservative Talk right after this particular break. We'll be back in about 2 minutes, 2 seconds.
Each year on September the 11th, ordinary citizens of the United Kingdom gather outside the United States Embassy in London. There, they show their solidarity with the people of the United States of America in remembrance of the terrorist attack on that day in 2001, the day Americans call 9/11. On July the 7th, 2005, terrorists exploded bombs in London, killing 52 people and injuring 700. The people of the United Kingdom called that day 7/7. To return and share love and respect with the citizens of the United Kingdom, please light up the darkness of the evening of July the 7th with 7 lights. These can be 7 firework rockets, 7 candles, or any other kind of lights, possibly arranged in a display. Then post what you've done to your favorite social media to further remember the lives lost, those injured, and the nation attacked in the 7/7 bombings. Your posts will be a call to free people everywhere that they too can be lights standing against the darkness of Islamic terrorism. Let your light of love and resolve shine this year and in years to come by marking 7 on 7/7.
What's your favorite subject?
Hey guys, can I ask you a question?
A stranger, every parent's fear, and every child's. But with the Amber Alert GPS SOS button, help is at your child's fingertips, as an alerted cell phone shows a frightened child's exact location, so you can get help for your child immediately. Order Amber Alert GPS for your family now, because peace of mind is priceless.
From coast to coast, there is one.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. We are certainly not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the socialist. We have with us tonight the very beautiful, the very brilliant Kathy Barnette. She is an adjunct professor and radio host of Truth Exchange on WYLL 1160 AM up in Pennsylvania. She is joining us tonight. We're going to talk about jihadism and the concern that parents have, especially mothers, regarding jihadism on the shores of the United States. Now, you're speaking from this not only from the perspective of a concerned mother, as that should be enough alone, but you were once a member of the Navy. You have fought them, am I correct?
Yes, and actually I was a part of the Army Air Force. I was accepted into candidacy school with the Army Air Force, and also served with the Army.
Yes, forgive me. I apologize. I said Navy. The other good team, the Army. Now, in your tour of duties, what did you get to know about ISIS and about the enemies per se?
Yeah, during the time that I was in the military, we were not fighting ISIS. At the time, it was, Iraq and the various players. ISIS has become a very formidable, very powerful organization in the past 2 years. They have been able to which is quite impressive, that they have been able to maintain their caliphate for the past 2 years. This is not something that is fleeting. This is not something that is coming and going. This is not something, contrary to what our president has said on numerous occasions, that is contained. It is here in America. ISIS is here in America. If you look at one particular map I was looking at earlier this morning, all the hotbeds of ISIS throughout America, it is all throughout America. They are not contained in little isolated parts of America. They are spread throughout America. And in America, we have had 103 different terrorist attacks on our land. And so it is real, it is here, and it makes me very alarmed when I see my president being not just the president, but people in Congress, and not just people on the left, but people on the right, not just in politics, but even the media. Not just media, even the soccer mom next to me. I mean, it is so pervasive, this narrative that they're trying to push down our throats.
Yeah.
That ISIS is our friend, Islam is a religion of peace, that all is well. Just roll back over and go to sleep. We got this. And I'm not feeling very warm and fuzzy about any of it.
Now, most people would say, well, listen, you're a mother. You're supposed to be this. You're supposed to be slightly anxious about the well-being of your children and concerned about their ability to get home and come back. But listen, that's only 103 incidents. I mean, and they're lone wolf incidents. How can you possibly justify that by saying that we have a crisis in America? I mean, we're doing everything we can to stop them, aren't we?
We are bringing them here into our country. It would be one thing if we did not know what the policies that our leaders are implementing, what the results of those policies would be. But we can look across the pond into Europe and see what is actually happening when you have an influx of a very specific group of people. It's not an influx of Christians that's running into theaters and shooting people, or while people are sitting down eating dinner outside of a cafe, walking past them and detonating bombs and murdering them. It's not Christians or Mormons or Buddhists that are going into Brussels Airport or Istanbul, Turkey's airport and detonating bombs. It is a very specific group of people with a very specific ideology of Islam. And so, but what do our leaders do? Do they protect us? Do they inform the public? No. Our president this year is bringing 85,000 refugees, the overwhelming majority coming from the Middle East, 10,000 being Syrian refugees. But then he said, but that's not enough. Let's do 100,000 refugees next year, the overwhelming majority of them coming from the Middle East. And this is all a part of a globalist mindset. And it's migration. Migration is a very powerful tool in the arsenal of globalists, people who want to change the identity of a culture and change it radically. And that is what Islam is. It's very radical. It does not assimilate. It annihilates. It creates confusion. And it'd be one thing if we could, again, look across the pond to see what the natural end result of this migration is going to be. But everyone seems to be blind. But as a mother, yes, we do have a heightened sense of a need for security. But the need is real.
Exactly. A lot of people would try to be very glib, as you pointed out earlier, and say that, you're just overreacting. And the truth of the matter is you're absolutely on point. It is far better sometimes for a mother to sense the situation than for dependency on a politician to do so. As they're looking for the latest polls on what makes us all feel good. But in the Orlando situation, in Walt Disney World was attempting to notify the FBI. Gun owners were attempting to notify, and gun shop owners were attempting to notify the FBI. And the FBI turned an eye away from Omar Mateen. This is the same administration that seems to be turning an eye to the situation that Prime Minister Merkel is suffering in Germany, with over 1 million of those particular individuals invading Germany, and those who happen to be on the right have gone into great protests into the streets to call for a blockade of their borders. Is it a concern that your children might be subject to radicalized teachings or radicalized behavior as a result of individuals who are not vetted coming into our country?
Well, obviously, right? I mean, everywhere you look now, you see people in burqas. That was probably one of the most alarming I had ever seen in my life is, just walking down the street and all you can see is the slit of someone's eyes. It's very alarming. The fact that we're modifying even our laws to accommodate people to wear their full burqas to take driver's license pictures. And people think these things are reasonable. What's the point of an ID if not to identify someone? And how to identify someone just by the slit of their eyes? It absolutely defies logic, and that's what we're seeing. And of course, as a mother, I'm concerned if I can take my son to a movie theater, do I have the reasonable expectation not to be shot up, not to have someone run in screaming an Arabic language and shooting us? Can I take my daughter out to have dinner without someone coming through and detonating a bomb? Are these irrational expectations that I have? I don't think so. And yet they're looking at me like I'm the crazy one. Not only did they have a number of people that were trying to alert the FBI about Omar Mateen, the FBI themselves had him twice under investigation, and then just ruled out the warning that his former employees were giving to the FBI, saying, listen, this guy is saying some really radical stuff. They just brushed it off in their report as they're just being phobic.
Yes.
They're just picking on him. And then look at what we have, 49 dead, innumerable lives eternally modified.
Kathy Barnette's on the line with us today, and we are talking about concerns that we have for those things that are happening in our neighborhood, the invasion I mean, those on the left are concerned about the invasion of species in a waterway that might envelop the loss of an old species of some type of fish. We're concerned that there are those who are coming into this country who do not want to be e pluribus unum, but want to overtake it with their Mohammedanism. And rightfully so, there was a president back in 1979 who forbade Muslims from entering the United States. Do you know who that president is?
And what year?
1979? Jimmy Carter.
Wow, Jimmy Carter of all people.
Jimmy Carter said that Muslims from Iran cannot come into this country. Now, it's amazing that they can do that, but when a presidential candidate who happens to wear a red tie stands up and say it, we're talking about world discrimination. Is there logic behind a certain sect of people not coming into our country until they can prove that they can assimilate?
Well, of course there's logic, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's logic to have a border. How can you be a nation if you have no border and anyone can come in or go out? Let me just say, we have over 11 million illegal immigrants in our country today. The overwhelming majority of them, James Comey has even said, we don't know where they are. Just recently, he testified before Congress saying that in regards to the 10,000 Syrian refugees that we're bringing here, he said, and I quote, "We can query our databases until the cows come home, and we won't get nothing." Meaning, when Obama says that he's pointing, he wags his finger at us and say that he's doing a rigorous investigation on the 10,000 Syrian refugees who are coming over here, so we don't have to worry about anything because he's doing a rigorous test on them. He's searching all the databases. James Comey, the FBI director, testified before Congress saying we can query our database until the cows come home, and we will get nothing on these people, because how much information do you have on a goat herder somewhere out in the Middle East? Medical lines, and now they're coming over here with the intent to kill us. I mean, and we even saw that with the San Bernardino killer, him and his wife. No one did a quote unquote rigorous search on his wife, and yes, they both came over here. Yes, they were able to pass their test because they can produce fake documents, they can produce fake records. It's them that's selecting the Syrian refugees who are coming over here. And so we have a reason to have great alarm. I mean, yes, there's logic in having a moratorium on who comes over here when we find ourselves in this heightened situation, but only to someone who is questionably sympathetic to Islam does that seem right. Does the thought of placing a moratorium on them seems radical? Exactly.
And very ashamedly, some of those who died in Orlando might have been individuals who supported the Mohammedans, who would find it Islamophobic for us to make any commentary on them at all. Speaking of Jim Comey, apparently Mr. Comey, despite all the evidences that supported gross negligence by Hillary Rodham Clinton, came to the conclusion that no reasonable person would prosecute Hillary Rodham Clinton on the charges that are being made against her, and thus the recommendation is no prosecution. Your thoughts, Kathy, on this? Is this justice?
No, I think a very clear message was sent that the law only applies to poor people. They do not apply to those who sit high, look low, and in a position to of great wealth and great influence. The laws don't apply to them. I think that was the message that was sent out. I think also the message that was sent out, or that was hammered in, is that we have a very corrupt justice system. But when I was in New York, we're getting ready to leave, so I'm sitting there trying to listen, trying to hurry up and get out. to catch our car back home. And I'm listening to what he's saying, and everything that he was saying prior to him actually making the announcement that he will not pursue charges, everything he was saying, I was very excited. It was like, okay, well, they found it. Okay, well, they understand. Okay, she lied. So surely he's going to make the announcement that they are going to recommend prosecution. But then he gives all this evidence against her, this damning evidence against her, only to come back around and say, oh, well, we're not going to do anything. And it reminded me when I was in the 10th grade taking a driver's ed class. And I remember my driver's ed teacher back in the 10th grade telling me ignorance of the law excuses not. Well, now, if I learned that in the 10th grade, surely the Secretary of State understands that just because you don't intentionally do something or that you don't do something of being aware that it's illegal, it's still illegal.
Yes.
You're still not supposed to do it. It's still damning.
Now,
and so, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask you, when you were listening to him lay that case out, how is it that the FBI can lay down point after point after point after point of incursion against the law, whether intent or not? But if any one of us were chosen to be charged with just an inkling of where she was charged, we would be talking from the prison cells right now.
He even said that. Do you remember he said that? He said that if this was applied to anyone else, yes, that this would be prosecutable, that people may be prosecuted.
Yes. Yeah. So we really have two Americas. We have America for the Clintons and those who have power and esteem and position, and the rest of us.
Yeah, and then the rest of us, right? The rest of us who are average Americans, right? But listen, but I think James Comey is much smarter and much more calculated than most of us are giving him credit for. I think because, it's very unusual for a director of the FBI to come and take 15 minutes out to painstakingly walk us through the evidence and to walk us through the logic. And then he gives us two examples of how she should have known.
Yes.
Although there's no direct evidence that she didn't know that she was doing something illegal, but he gave two very explicit examples of how a reasonable person would have known. I believe this was by design that he did it. Now, I believe, there's all kind of stuff out there on social media about James Comey wanting to live. Ultimately make the recommendation that he made. However, I believe he did so. But also came out before the American people and did something that is very unusual for an FBI director to do, and that is to walk through his logic prior to submitting the recommendation. And I believe he did it to be, and that he was being very calculated about it. He wants us to know the fix is in. Now, what you gonna do about it, Americans?
Thank you for giving me that version of thought, because I had a different version of thought regarding James Comey, and we both know that he's under great duress from as far up as the White House.
Can you imagine the pressure on that man? All of hell was laying on him.
Exactly.
Sure.
Exactly. And given the prescription for how many people, even recently, the UN person who wanted to speak against Hillary, imaginably comes up dead all of a sudden. Stuff happens to people that come against the Clintons. But it's real. I wanted to give you this last line here, one of the last lines from Comey, and I want you to tell me, how does this apply when you think of the men and women who are fighting for us overseas, like it unto yourself, and then also Hillary Clinton as a foreign policy person. He says, given that combination of factors, we assess it is possible that hostile actors gained access to Secretary Clinton's personal email account.
Yeah. He went on to even say that although there's no direct evidence that her computers were hacked, there is evidence that those working under her, that their computers were hacked.
Yes.
He goes on to say that it was well known that she used a personal computer. So once again, I believe this man is much more calculated than the majority of us are giving him credit for. He really laid it out. And then, of course, he had to do what he ultimately had to do, which was to say no prosecution. But he laid it all out for us, that there is innumerable reasons for this woman to be behind bars right now. And so I don't think this is over by a mile, but it really is in the hands of the people. I mean, are we awake yet? And specifically, I mean, every opportunity I get, I talk to Black people about Hillary. Like, it's so unconceivable that you would be diehard fans of Hillary right now. Hillary, her husband still got women's bodies falling out of closets. It's like, how in the world could you put your support behind such a person? And so I believe with all the things that we're doing and trying to speak truth to darkness, and the fact that FBI Director James Comey comes out and he just lays it all out.
Yes, he does.
She did know.
Do men and women want to fight for a woman like Hillary Clinton? I know George Bush had his deficiencies, but men and women were ready to go to battle because of George Bush's honor. Is that the same with Hillary?
Well, we will see, right? Right now, her and Obama are like the best of friends, right? OMG, they're like besties all of a sudden. So you're giving her the royal treatment and everything. But we will see. You know, I mean, we have a very low information. I call them just flat. I mean, you know, the overwhelming majority of the American voting base is ignorant. The other half is just stupid, because that's what it is. I mean, ignorant. We're all ignorant in something. Ignorance simply means a lack of knowledge. And so no one knows everything. We all have a lack of knowledge of something. But then you have a large group of us who don't know, don't want to know, and then get mad at you if you try to tell them so. Now, for them, they fall out of the ignorant category and into the stupid category. And we do have a number of those as well who are of voting age. And so for those who are, and there's nothing we can do about those particular people, but the population of ignorant, low information voters, there's hope.
Yeah.
Is in the business of making blind eyes see, and people like you and I are there to speak truth. And I'm telling you, it's amazing what truth can do. You saw when we were out there at Independence Hall. For many of our speakers, I mean, we were talking about some heavy-duty subject with the United States of America. We had an ex-transgender person standing up talking, giving his testimony, an ex-Muslim giving her testimony. You stood up and gave a testimony. I had so many people coming and telling me that, grown men, that they were over there crying. By the time you got to your daughter, it was just like they were out. They were out for the count. But we made an impact. We spoke truth to a culture that really isn't getting truth. They don't get truth from the pulpit because most pastors are too concerned about being politically correct and making sure they have collections in the plate every Sunday. They're not getting truth in the schools because now we have, buzzwords, trigger words that we give to our college students, that if they don't want to hear something that could be controversial, we give them trigger words that allows them to get up and leave the room. Now they have safe spaces in universities, so they're not getting truth. So when people like you and I stand up and speak truth boldly, I believe God takes that and He uses it to open eyes.
Kathy Barnette, how can people listen to you on a more regular basis to get this message out We got about 120 days for people to get their minds changed and filtered right. How can they listen to you?
Well, I am. You can always go to truthexchange.net. Truthexchange.net. That's the short version of my URL. Go to truthexchange.net. We're in the business of engaging minds to think critically about what's going on around them from a perspective of history, truth, and logic. You can also catch me on Twitter at Kathy for Truth, or social media or Facebook at Truth Exchange with Kathy Barnette.
Kathy, it was an honor to be with you on the grounds of the Independence Hall across from the Liberty Bell and preaching freedom to a lot of people who don't even know what it really feels like. God bless you and your family. I look to your return to our program soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Kathy Barnette, ladies and gentlemen, that is a powerhouse of a woman. And her message is one that we all need to hear, but certainly those who have been made ignorant by those on the left purposely to confound them and to keep them on the plantation. What a great avenue to change their mind. We'll be right back with more of the best in urban conservative talk right after these messages.
We have Kona Coffee. We have 100% Kona Coffee.
You know, Kona Coffee is a wonderful place. In Hillcrest, there are many places that offer coffee, but Kona has some of the best quality coffee that I have consistently been able to receive.
I actually used to work at Starbucks, and I don't like it. I love Kona compared to Starbucks just because the Starbucks espresso is always a little burnt, and the Kona is really smooth.
It's not over roasted. We roast it daily so we can keep it so fresh.
It's delicious. It's very creamy. I'm having a chai latte.
Our Kona blend is amazing. It's a 35% Kona.
This is a flavored one. They use like oils to flavor it, so you don't get like all that sugar if you're especially like if you're looking to be more healthy.
It's amazing. I come every morning that I have to work and get their acai bowl, and it's phenomenal.
An acai bowl is a Brazilian berry. It's really healthy meal. Could be a breakfast, lunch, or dinner.
Refreshing, and it comes with fresh bananas and strawberries and granola and coconut, and they're amazing.
It's better because they do know you. So if you walk in and you can have a conversation, unlike Starbucks, they're kind of whatever.
They're always so friendly. They're always really nice. Even when you see them around the area, they always stop and say hi to you.
They treat you like neighbors, which is really nice.
4 out of 5 doctors prefer Kona coffee.
From day's first light till night's last glimmer, your satisfaction is our responsibility. On the range or in the field of duty, you can rely on Brownell's lifetime guaranteed gun parts, tools, and supplies. Anytime, any place. It's how we've done business since 1939. Brownell's.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. That's Washington, D.C. to you and me. We are not ashamed of the good news, and we propel it to the world every single night. We thank God for SHR Media, Sackhead Radio, Sackhead Sean, Sackhead Clint, and as well, Free Sacco. They do a wonderful job of transporting our message out live every night from 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Here on the East Coast, Eastern Standard Time, that is. And as well, we'd like to thank High Plains. Is it High Plains Pundit Radio? Yeah, it is. Dan Station. High Plains Pundit Talk. And we thank God for Dan. We pray God for his strength because he's got a great vision and he is spreading the great news of conservatism around the world. And indeed, Red Nation Rising. Thank God July 4th came because the station got going. We are played at 2 a.m. on Red Nation Rising every Monday through Friday. And we thank them so much for doing so. Listen, We are going to go to a break. And the next voice you're going to hear will be none other than the very beautiful and vivacious Janis Holmes. We're going to be talking about a lot of things over the next few minutes in the second half of our program. What a powerful first half this was. But simply, there's some things that the world is doing, well, at least some in the world are doing, that we should all be concerned about. ISIS is one of them, our Justice Department another. We'll be right back with more of the best at Urban Conservative Talk, live from the nation's capital.
It's a love story like no other. From God's heart to yours. And for 30 years, it's been at the heart of every book, Bible, CD, gift, and resource from ChristianBook.com. Over 500,000 products, always at the very best value. ChristianBook.com. Everything Christian, because it's our story too.
1 week to Freedom Fest! Woo!
Well, welcome to Freedom Fest 2015. I think this is the best Freedom Fest we've ever put together.
Freedom Fest is truly international. There's people from all over the world that come to Freedom Fest, not just to talk, but also to participate in dialogue, participate in the panels, to participate in the audience.
So hold your breath, lock your seatbelts. I hope you're at your Wheaties today.
We are enslaved by government mandates. What light bulb you can buy, what car you can drive, how you heat and cool your home, to what health insurance.
Europe actually has allowed itself to be held hostage of this entire Greek situation.
They have the courage to do debates. We have debates on foreign policy, on taxes, on what's going on in the world, on how to invest and how to run your own life.
He used an example of restaurants. Don't open a restaurant because it's so competitive you'll never make any money. Really? I mean, been to Chipotle lately? How many believe that Peter Thiel won the argument competition is overrated in America? And how many favor John Mackey's response?
So here's the moment many of you have been waiting for, myself included, and I think it's the reason why this room is completely packed all the way to the back as far as I can see.
I think I worked about 8 years to put together this debate.
I have to say, it's really kind of depressing to see people holding up the Reagan story, which is so obviously different if you pay any attention to the story, as that's the best argument, really? That's the best argument?
The middle class and the poor are the people you say you care most about, are the people who've been hurt the most by these policies because they've had no income growth at all.
Thank you. They already left 2 waters for me. I'll probably only need 1. So I appreciate it. In America today, higher education is controlled by a cartel. And they say, oh, let's take out a loan and pay for this. And no one bothers to tell them that the market for Greek philosophers has been tight for 2,000 years.
So in terms of its 2 major policy objectives, stable prices and a stable economy, the Fed has clearly failed.
And if the Federal Reserve actually did the right thing, the market would crash.
Every country in the world has a lower corporate tax rate than us. Can we fix that?
This, in my view, is the premier libertarian event in the country.
You probably meet the largest cross-section of philosophically based groups of any conference anywhere in the world.
Some of the smartest people in our country come together here to discuss the ideas and challenges. This is an engaged group of individuals.
This is all about the mind. It's not about how fancy you are.
Feisty discussions, interesting people to meet.
I love it. This is my first time doing anything like this. It's not gonna be long.
It's the only place you get this many people who agree with me. Nobody, I live in New York. Nobody agrees with me.
You know, war is not the health of the state. War is the death of liberty and freedom. And that's a mentality that is particularly strong in the Republican Party, but it's also strong in the Democratic Party.
I want the government to be this small. I want the individual to be this big.
We are people when we are at our greatest that we lead by example. We don't jam it down anybody's throat. We don't force them to live our way. We don't nation build.
This is very interesting. There's a lot of variety of stuff. Really.
Hear ye, hear ye. Freedom Fest Court is now in session.
We are gathered here in this great sovereign state of Nevada to
decide the fate of the country's central bank, the Federal Reserve.
Please place your hand on this edition of Forbes 400 Richest.
There was a bubble in many markets, and that is simply mathematically impossible without the Fed creating the money to make it happen.
The Fed is guilty, 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 guilty. Court is now adjourned. God bless America, and may you always ride on the eagle of freedom. Hallelujah, and good night.
I'm Joanne Skousen. I'm the founding director of the Anthem Film Festival.
And we are in our 5th year. We started in a little room on the 26th floor at Bally's, and now we've grown to huge numbers. In fact, we have a fabulous lineup of shorts.
A police officer can wear a body camera, but you as a citizen may not have access to that footage.
Live from Las Vegas.
We recognize that Freedom Fest is a big tent.
Well, I happen to like Rand Paul. I really do. By the way, in some cases, they'll build a new hospital for $1.5 billion. You could build 7 hospitals, 10 hospitals for that if you knew what you were doing.
We had almost 300 speakers.
Without a doubt, our most successful Freedom Fest ever.
And I just adore the experience. It's like a saturation of the senses, a saturation of the mind. I learned so much. I come home with way too many books. I adore Freedom Fest. I'm definitely coming back again next year.
Hey, it's Jersey Joe. Love the Reaver, Common Sense. You can catch me every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on shrmedia.com. That's every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, shrmedia.com.
Welcome to Lion.
No, we're not lion chasers. Although the music sounds that way. Welcome back to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. We are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation. First to the Republican and then the Socialist. For all those who are worried about me, all is well. God is providing. He's taking good care of this big brother. I haven't lost a meal yet. Ladies and gentlemen, just want to let you all know that Mary, my bouncer, is in the chat roll at Broadcast Central on the ExceptionalConservativeShow.com. Go in there and say hello to Mary. Tell her love up on her. She is my bouncer. If you diss her, you diss me, and you will be dismissed. Mrs. Biggs is watching via live stream and Ustream in our preparation for Sackheads Radio Night tomorrow night, SHR Media Night. Sackhead Sean, Sackhead Clint will be taking the wheels of steel at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. or is it 8 p.m.? 8 p.m. California IA time. I like that beat there, man. I like that Zanzibar thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to let everyone know also that yours truly has been allowed back on to Twitter, but trust me, I know my limitations. I really do. And I am not as dependent on Twitter. I'm becoming less dependent on Facebook. Yeah, y'all know me. I'm moving sometimes with the wind. But I want to thank Agador for greeting me on Sackheads, on the Twitter page that we have now. Thank you so much, sir. You are just completely awesome. And for all those who are following me, you can go to Mr. Exceptional One. It's the number 1 there. And you can befriend me or follow me, however way they have that thing set up. Ladies and gentlemen, you know on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m., we have with us one of America's leading, and a lot of people say, Ken, you're just making that up. No, she is one of America's leading world events commentators. And she's been getting her stuff right so often that people tune in to this particular program, they listen to it afterwards, And you'll find that the talking points for the rest of the week. I know in Washington, D.C., there are people who listen on the down low to Janis Hall, the J. Hall World Report, and they're talking about it big time. Glad you're back in the Twitter sphere. Thank you. Glad to be back, of course, if only temporarily, until Twitter takes me out again. You know, I have never spent more time in prison than I did on Twitter and Facebook. I just want to let you all know. So Janis Hall of the J. Hall World Report is joining us momentarily. We put this stuff together here. And voila. Here we are. Now, if only Ken could make Professor's voice audible, we're in business. Oh, we're going to do that. We do that. Janis Hall, J. Hall World Report, right now. Good evening, Janis.
Good evening. Happy 4th of July.
Happy 4th of July to you. Did you have a great 4th of July weekend?
I did. I didn't do any barbecuing, but I did do had some people over on Saturday for some chili and cornbread, and yeah.
Wait a minute, Janis?
Good times.
Janis?
What?
You do cornbread?
I do cornbread.
Oh my goodness! Now the reason I say
I think it's Yankee cornbread though, because it's sweet.
Oh, see, I took you for Chablis and cheese. You know what I'm saying? Oh, my girl got some skills. All right now. Well, Janis, they love you more than enough for your foreign policy experience, and now we're going to have to add to that the Yankee cornbread. But there are some issues in the world, and let's just start off with one of the big ones, because I thought this was the most earth-shattering of all today, and that's the decision by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, which is an agency under the U.S. Department of Justice, James Comey being the director of it, not to recommend prosecution of Hillary Rodham Clinton, former Secretary of State, who's running for the presidency of the United States of America as the candidate for the Democrat Party. I just want to get your take, your thoughts on what took place, and then how the world is reacting to it. But go for it. Your thoughts.
Okay. So, I mean, I did kind of like a silent scream when I saw the news. I mean, it's just, it's ridiculous. And then to see that just a few days ago, we had Loretta Lynch, DOJ, come out, well, she talked with Bill Clinton, okay? Yeah. And everybody was like, what? Why did she do that? She shouldn't be doing that, which she shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
And then she comes out and says, well, I will respect whatever the FBI says. Now I'm thinking, well, the reason she said that in the first place is because she probably already knew that what the FBI was going to say. So there wasn't any danger of her, having to actually recommend charges against Clinton.
Exactly. Yeah. You're sitting back and you're feeling that this is all fixed. Am I right? Are you sensing that this was all fixed from the very beginning, orchestrated?
It definitely feels that way. Definitely with the Loretta Lynch stuff happening. And I mean, even if you just look at what she did and what the FBI said, essentially they said, yeah, she did wrong.
Yeah.
Okay? She was negligent. She, essentially broke the law. But we're not going to prosecute her. Like,
wow.
What? I mean, if somebody else had done this, they would be prosecuting them.
Exactly. Now, I want to ask, because you and I both have a lot of liberal friends in Washington, D.C., and the surrounding area, and because those are the only ones we have. Not too many options otherwise. But did they feel that it was a fix, or did they feel that she was exonerated, a no guilty verdict by the FBI?
I mean, generally they feel exonerated.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But I mean, that's just how they feel. Like everything, you know, even when the Benghazi report came out and essentially was, you know, not kind to Clinton and the Obama administration, and essentially said that they also had situation. And the headline in the New York Times was, yeah, the Benghazi, you know, hearing finds that Clinton didn't do anything wrong. I mean, that's not what it said.
Yeah.
But that's what they're taking away from it, and that's what they're promoting.
So, for Democrats and liberals, progressives around here, if you don't go to jail, then you're not guilty.
Right.
For the rest of us, she got away with she got away with a lot there.
She got away with a lot.
She got away. I don't want to use that word, boy. We're going to be persecuted for saying so. But are people around the world reacting with the same type of, you know, liberality as the progressive Democrats in this particular area of the city? Or are they slightly amiss at the idea that the Justice Department could present a case in which she's guilty on every count but won't prosecute?
You know, I honestly haven't taken a look at what the worldwide community is saying. I was just, you know, too appalled myself to comprehend. So I don't actually know. But they should be appalled, but, you know, the liberal...
Yeah.
The Europe is probably not upset about this at all.
There you go. You know the direction I'm going in.
Yeah, I can guess. I know how they lean. I can figure it out.
Yeah. So this is like that moment. Like so she can still run.
Yeah.
Because we don't want Donald Trump building a wall. We just don't.
That's right.
Is it over? Or if you were advising Hillary Clinton, what would you tell her to do about this? And if you were advising Donald Trump, what would you tell him?
Well, if I was advising Clinton, I would say, yeah, we definitely need to say that this is over, or not even necessarily say it, but just assume that it's over, which essentially is what she's been doing the whole entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And if I was Trump, I would capitalize on what the FBI report did say, which was the gross negligence, which, you know, was that essentially she did do something wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, if he's looking to, you know, kind of really increase the message, you know, the anti-establishment message, I mean, he can even say, and she wasn't even, you know, prosecuted.
Guilty as accused, but certainly not prosecuted. Man, would it pays to be a Teflon Don in Washington, D.C.? Will this be crushing to her in November? Will she be able to point back to this as the reason why she didn't get elected?
No, but honestly, I think even if charges had been recommended, I don't think that, you know, this would have been... I still think the liberals, the Democrats probably would have been, well, that's sad, but So no.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot that is wrong with, you know, her and the platform. And this is just one more thing. And at least we forget, they're still investigating her,
Mm-hmm.
well, not just her, but the Clintons' foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that too. So it's not really over. Though I'm not really expecting much to come out of that either.
You and I both, we've been in Washington a long time. And it's not usual for a director when he knows that the world is going to be looking at him to get up and leave without taking any questions. But wouldn't your number one question be, isn't it disingenuous to give this report today knowing that there's another investigation going on against the Clintons, and already Loretta Lynch has obfuscated that justice by meeting with Bill? I mean,
yeah.
Woo! All right.
Yeah, I can't believe the timing. I can't believe the timing. Like, we've been waiting and waiting and waiting for a long time, and then all of a sudden we have Lynch meeting with Bill, and then she's like, yeah, I'm totally going to respect what the FBI says. Yeah, that's because they knew what was going to happen.
Yes!
The fix was already in.
Thank you. There we go, Janis. That's what the world needs to know. The fix is in. And so in America right now, we have a choice between those keeping the fix, and it doesn't matter. You could be Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell, as well as Harry Reid and Pelosi and Obama and Hillary and all of that group. You can keep the fix, or you can repair using the fix. Will battle lines be drawn from here? And can we expect people to really begin seeing after maybe Labor Day that this is just not the right woman to put in charge of the U.S. military and its foreign policy?
I mean, I think so. I don't think that this draws battle lines, but I think it probably continues to further entrench what is already there. I think that each side is absolutely going to spin this to its own advantage, and I think it'll continue to be very polarizing.
Just in finality, in your crystal ball or whatever, does she lose any credibility by today's report, and does Trump gain any on the foreign policy by this report?
Well, I think that really depends on whose side you're on. Personally, I don't think Clinton had much credibility to lose in the first place, because, I mean, she pretty much didn't have any with me anyway.
You can't go too far down from zero. Okay.
Right. So I think that really how you look at this is going to totally depend on whose side you're on.
True. Cool. We are talking to Janis Hall, the J. Hall World Report. It is an honor and privilege to always talk with her on Tuesday nights on the ExceptionalConservativeshow.com, because actually what we normally talk about 2 or 3 days later, you'll hear it on WMA. No, I'm sorry. I won't give the... I'm just saying. It's kind of a curiosity. AM 630. I want to talk about Islam, the Mohammedans. And I want to talk with you about something that's not being covered in the news. There was an attack over the weekend in Medina, the home of Muhammad. Can you tell us all about that?
Yeah, so, well, first I'm going to say that there was several attacks that happened this weekend.
Just in time for Ramadan.
This week. Yeah, I mean, we had the attack at the Istanbul airport. We had the huge bombing in Baghdad over the weekend, which killed upwards of 200 people. And it's the biggest attack that they've had since 2003, which really amazed me. And then we had in Bangladesh, there was 20 people died, mostly foreigners, at a cafe when an ISIS terrorist decided to go after the place. And then we had four bombings in Saudi Arabia yesterday. And the Saudi Arabia bombings, 3 of which I think happened in Medina, in a relative sense to the other ones that we just talked about, very few people died. I think the biggest one killed 4 security officers. But I mean, there was still 4, right? That is hugely significant. They all happened at the same time. It's happening at the end of Ramadan, and it's happening in, one of the, really sacred cities. And it has incensed a lot of Muslims and the Saudi royal family, as it should. I mean, they should be incensed that ISIS killed 200 people in Baghdad as well as bombing Medina. But I am happy to see that there has been condemnation and, an outpouring of anger that ISIS did this.
Oh, when ISIS does something to places like Mecca and Medina, now we hear from them, right? Am I just, is that just being, just a little over the top for me? Or do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I totally understand what you're saying, and I think that it's absolutely true. I mean, at this point, I'm happy for anything, and yes, I am glad that they are condemning the attacks in Saudi Arabia. But like you're saying, it's completely not enough, and they absolutely, should be condemning the attacks everywhere.
Yes! You get it! You get me! Yes! All of a sudden, someone's talking about bombing Mecca or bombing Medina, and oh my goodness, oh Lord, well, not Lord, oh Muhammad, we must do something against them. But 200 people die in Baghdad, 156 people are killed or injured in Orlando. I don't hear these same groups of people, stepping out, holding press conference, talking about bombing folk.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true.
Want to also talk with you about a very special issue, one that I gravitate to, and that's the sex trafficking of women, human trafficking of women. ISIS has done a great deal of that over the past 2 to 3 years. How egregious have they gotten, if you would?
They've gotten quite egregious. So, a couple years ago, when ISIS took a bunch of territory, and a lot of it from the Kurds, they, killed men and essentially enslaved a lot of the women and girls. And now, I mean, well, we've been seeing it, for the last 2 years. But essentially what's happened is that most of these, young girls are essentially being used as sex slaves.
Yeah.
And they're being sold. ISIS has created documentation. There's essentially a database of these girls and their supposed owners that go to checkpoints and security in the region to try and stop anyone from escaping or smugglers from taking them out. So yes, they've turned sexual slavery into a very organized, methodical practice.
Wow. And this, because I'm glad you mentioned sex slavery, because whenever I talk to certain brethren, they just can't believe that Mohammedans are still practicing slavery, and they are in various areas of the world. And nothing is more aghasting than the simple fact that even in countries, we've reached the 22nd century, but there are countries still treating women as if they were first century, and as objects. And did Hillary Clinton say anything recently about this human trafficking from from ISIS-controlled territories in Syria and northern Iraq or anything of that nature?
If she has, I haven't seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, don't look for
I
it.
haven't seen too many people talk about this.
Exactly. Don't look for it. She didn't. It's better just to get the money. Get the money and shut up. Don't say a word. I want to talk with you finally about the Philippines.
Yeah.
We're talking with Janis Hall, J Hall World Report. Janis, you were right on top of this a few months back, talking about the Philippine election, and that there was one choice, really, out of all the misguided plebes that decided that they wanted to join in the celebration of changing the Philippines around. That is now President Duterte. Congratulations to his great victory. And how does he celebrate his victory?
Yes. So since Thursday, when he took office, there's been about, I guess, around 30 killings of drug dealers and general criminals.
Wow, 30. Now
30.
People thought we were
promising more to follow.
Exactly. People thought, Janis, people thought we were crazy, that we were just joking when we talked about President Duterte, and other people around the country weren't covering this story. And I bet you later on this week they will be on a certain station in Washington. But 30 on the first couple of days. He's serious about this crime thing, isn't he?
He is. I think it's one of those instances where he's basically doing exactly what he said he was going to do. And I know that there will probably be a lot of disbelief. And I mean, I'm not going to say that I didn't believe him. I mean, I did.
Mm-hmm.
It could have gone one way or the other.
Yeah.
But I am not surprised that this is happening.
No.
And I mean, while we do agree that drug dealers and criminals are not good, he has a tremendous amount of vigilante justice and seems to really be taking this above and beyond what anyone would consider normal criminal proceedings.
Now,
go ahead.
Now, if you happen to be a drug dealer, I suggest that you keep that on the down low.
I would suggest that, yes. Well, I mean, I think the other thing too is that essentially he's creating a system where he can get rid of anyone by claiming they're a drug dealer. And so what starts as, we're trying to get rid of all the criminals and the drug dealers can very easily and quickly turn into, let's just get rid of anybody who doesn't agree with me or I don't like.
So you're saying that he could possibly manipulate the judicial system of the Philippines just as a certain family does it here in this country? Kind of, sort of.
I am definitely saying that he could definitely manipulate the justice system.
Janis Hall.
Well, I mean, essentially, there's going to be no justice system.
Exactly. We seem to be moving in that direction. Whoever holds the golden crown is the justice one. Janis Hall, the J Hall World Report. We love having her here every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Listen, we look forward to you coming back next week. We'll talk to you then.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, man. I love having Janis here on Tuesday nights at 10 o'clock because she does. She brings the world down to the kitchen table where you can go back tomorrow and talk about these things in greater detail. There was so much stuff that we wanted to talk about, and I'm very sorry that the Clinton situation took up a great deal of it. However, when we return, I'm not going to talk about the Clintons, but I will talk about a miscarriage of justice. And I want you to listen, and then I want you to spread that information. And I also will talk about a certain city in Iowa that is concerned that their bathrooms may not be sufficient for the new age. You're listening to the Exception Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. We certainly are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism. We will be back right after these messages.
I was in need of some advice from a lawyer, but I found this site and it saved me a fortune. Law Depot lets you easily customize legal documents. More than 2 million people have used Law Depot to create over 4 million legal documents and save over $1 billion in legal fees. Whether you are interested in protecting your estate, managing a rental property, setting up a business, or any other situation requiring legal forms, Law Depot's extensive library of documents and legal resources are able to assist you with all your legal needs. You get customized legal documents at a fraction of the price it would cost through a traditional lawyer. Quality legal documents since 2001. Click the link below.
They're gorgeous. This is awesome. Amazing. I love the color. What if I told you perfectly polished nails were just a spray away? Hi, I'm Taylor Baldwin, and you're going to fall in love with this. It's Spray Perfect, the spray-on nail polish that gives you perfect polished salon-looking nails without stressing the details. Look, Spray Perfect gives you all over gorgeous color in seconds for the world's fastest manicure. And don't stress the mess. The extra polish washes right off your skin with water.
The color is unbelievable. It's so solid. It came right off my fingers. I can't wait to tell my friends about it. I love it.
The secret is Spray Perfect Smart Polish formula that only sticks to your nails, but easily washes off your skin with water. Perfect. And unlike bottle polish that tips, drips, and takes forever to put on, with Spray Perfect, you get smooth, easy, complete coverage in seconds.
This is really, really brilliant. I love that it stays on my nails and that it is off my skin. And the color is fantastic.
Whether you're left-handed or right-handed, it's so simple to spray on. For beautiful chip and crack resistant polish you'll love to show off. And watch this. Spray Perfect is great for toenails too, because it's so easy to do. Ladies, your perfectly polished nails are just a spray away with Spray Perfect. Call or go online to get Spray Perfect in all of these fabulous colors.
Have you heard the news? There's more to Prime than free. 2-day shipping on shoes. There are tons of movies ready to stream. It's like living in a film lover's dream. More to Prime. More to Prime.
I want to join. How much should I pay?
You can sign up for a free trial today. So let's sing it one more time. There's more to Prime.
Now, Brownells, we know you may have only one shot to harvest that trophy, so we have thousands of accessories and replacement parts to improve your chances. We know how much you love to shoot, so our gunsmiths articles and videos will help you do more and get more out of your guns. And we also value your hard work and money. That's why only Brownells backs up everything we sell with a 100% unconditional lifetime guarantee. Brownells, the world's largest supplier of firearm accessories and gunsmithing tools.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of a Fuse restaurant, and today I'm going to walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. So we're making a pizza. We use fresh Italian sausage that we cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh. fresh ingredients. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and the Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. Once the fish is ready, and our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused seat burgers. When we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA round chuck ham patty burgers, like half a pound of burgers, and we're gonna grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce, let it cook on into the meat just a little bit. We're gonna add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger to spice it up a bit.
Order up indeed, ladies and gentlemen. You want to have a good time, go to Infused Restaurant. Infused Restaurant, 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland, 20748. 301-449-9000. 301-449-9000. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, that place is getting crowded now. I can't believe it. The brunch is getting crowded. The dinner and the lunch hours are getting crowded. Thank God I can still get a booth where I can sit there with my lovely wife and eat my double bacon double burger. And I'm talking, that thing is huge. I went to dinner with Garfield Williams and his lovely wife last week. And they watched me eat the double bacon double burger. And I think they should just name it the exceptional one. I think you all should call 301-449-9000 and tell them that the double bacon double burger, well done, or medium, sorry, it shouldn't be well done, it should be medium well. The double bacon double burger should be called the exceptional one. There you go. I created that monster. And I ate that in front of them. They were like, wow, this boy can eat. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I got a great, great stomach for eating. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to play for you. I normally don't do this, but I want to play for you a master of law himself. It is Mark Levin. And you will find him on Levin TV because I want to give the right props to him. But I want you to hear. I said I wasn't going to talk about it, but I did tell you that Mark Levin wasn't. Mark Levin.
You have a car accident? If you intentionally drive into another car, that's one thing. If you're grossly negligent, that's another thing. Well, the same thing here. The statute that was passed by Congress and that everybody else in the federal government, political or non-political, has to live under, it is gross negligence. People are violated for gross negligence, not intent.
There you go. That's Mark Levin. I'm not a lawyer, but that's Mark Levin. He is a lawyer. Gross negligence. Simply amazing. And I did miss out on meeting Mark Levin earlier today on Capitol Hill. There was an event regarding conservatives getting involved in public safety issues in urban America, and I wish I had attended that. Unfortunately, I could not. but I look forward someday to working with the organization, not as an employee, but working with the organization to get more conservative viewpoints out in urban America regarding crime itself. You have reached the last quarter of our program. And in that last quarter of a program, it is commercial free. You just get me. I know this is that opportunity for you to turn the channel. Thank you, Mary. Mary says you advertise too well, kid. You all should send letters to Derek Williams and Christine Williams and tell them the double bacon, double burger should be called the exceptional one. Put it on your chart. Call it the exceptional one. That way, when you order the exceptional one, people can always point back to the exceptional one. You know, liberals eating the exceptional. Well, never mind it. Save that for Sackheads Radio on Wednesday night. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a church in Iowa. And that church in Iowa has a concern that others in the faith need to be concerned about. It happened just as Target was being challenged in terms of its bathroom usage. And we were told by Target that they would not change.
You know how to fold a fitted sheet.
Okay.
No blend eyes on you.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. It's amazing how this. Yeah. Thank you very much. I don't know how it happened. I clicked something, and there you are. In Iowa, we are being told that some churches must comply with transgender bathroom laws. The question has been put out there, is a church a place of public accommodation? Now, remember, I've been telling churches for years, and Mary's been my witness to this, that you need to drop your 501c3. You are already, and I'm going to have Garrett Lear come on my program, and we're going to talk about this eventually. But, ladies and gentlemen, your 501c3 doesn't make you subject to God. It makes you subject to government. Churches have existed in America before there was a United States of America. So what has happened with the recent discussion of transgender bathrooms is a question of public accommodation. Does a church have to change its bathroom standards regarding gender and sex? Now, a brochure was published by the Iowa Civil Rights Commission, and they contend that any church that opens its doors to the public must be required to comply with sexual orientation and gender identity laws. That's what they say. It's known as Iowa Code Chapter 216. Chapter 216. And under that code, the interpretation makes it very plain, or at least interpreted, that a church provides public accommodation. And as such, providing a public accommodation means basically that the church must consider their bathrooms the way that City Hall would consider their bathrooms. Now, see, all you black pastors who are listening on the download to this particular program, for years you've been taunting me and saying, vote Democrat. Even though they abort babies, they still look out for the poor. They look out for... baby, get it straight. At least you should have when it came to same-sex marriage. But get it straight. They don't. First Liberty Institute is representing Cornerstone World Outreach, a Sioux City church that fears it may be in violation of the statute. Isn't that kind of the church? Yeah. Chaim Sasser, the law firm's director of litigation, said the commission's brochure means churches will be required to let transgendered individuals use the bathrooms of their choice. It further compels our client to use specific pronouns referring to certain gender identities and prohibits our client from even teaching its religious beliefs. There you have it, baby. Way out in Iowa, out in corn country, baby. Cornerstone World Outreach cannot be made to open its restrooms for use by individuals in accordance with their gender identities rather than their sex assigned at birth, Sasser says. But I assure you that the LGBTQI, RSTUVWXYZ, and I think we'll have to go back to J now since they added the I, LGBTQI, JK, LMNOP, QRSTUVWXYZ. Yeah, so we have to add all that now because they added I to the end of the Q. So literally that community represented by the Iowa Civil Rights Commission says that, hey, churches need to open up their bathrooms so that the man that feels like a little girl can go into the little girl's room. And the little girl has to go in there with him. Or the little woman, or the woman at least, who feels like a big old boy can go into the restroom with the big old boys and use the restroom now. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you right now, you need to put down that 501c3. You need to kick it to the curb. Government, as far as I know, cannot make law against the church. But because you all have decided that Fannie Lou Hamer and Barack Obama are your saviors, quite frankly, now you've opened up the doors to your church being a public institution. Clutch the pearls. That means it's a state church. Or no longer a church because you can't teach your religious teachings in that particular building anymore. So that kind of makes you a government entity. And now some of you all have been working very hard to become government organizations in and of yourselves, getting government contracts as often as you possibly can. But ladies and gentlemen, here's the point. You sold out Jesus in order to inherit the world. And now what you inherit will be your downfall. I am going to talk with you all in coming weeks about free state churches. Free state churches. And those pastors who really listen to this show on the down low, who do care, it's time for you to introduce to your congregation the concept of dropping the 501c3. Start up some other charitable organization. If people want to give to that, let them give. But you're going to pay a very heavy price soon for being a state church. I assure you. And some of you pastors will really be shocked when the government tells you that because you are a state church, they have the right to tell who preaches behind the pulpit, and this week it ain't you. Just saying. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to also share with you, if you go over to the Voice of Liberty page on the Exceptional Conservative Show, you get an opportunity to read my rantings. I try to organize them in such a fashion where they are not literal rantings filled with hyperbole and few facts. But I try to give you a little bit of wisdom, as I am an old man. Shannon Wright called me an old man when I was walking the street with her. Streetwalker Shannon. She called me an old man. Listen, I'm going to give you a little bit of wisdom. I hope that you take it. I really do. This was written on Saturday, July the 2nd, The system is not broken. The ideology works too well for that. I encourage you, please share it amongst your friends and family on Facebook and on all the other social media outlets. Keep on punch. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. You can. Does that go for mosque? No! Mosque are not included because that would be Islamophobia, now wouldn't it? Oh, man. If we ever got radical for Jesus, can you imagine what this could... Never mind. Never mind. Don't go there because someone's going to sue you, Ken. Someone's going to say, Ken said get radical, like start something up. No, I didn't say that. The vigilance sought in bringing justice to the murder of my daughter, Janis Milton, has acquainted me, a friend of the Fourth Watch. A Steph night owl, I am known for gathering information on unresolved homicides, missing persons, and exploited children throughout the nation and reporting the accounts on the Open Heart Closed Case Incorporated Facebook page. As the clock struck 4:30 a.m., a story from the District of Columbia arrested me of my pursuit of a catnap before preparing for the Sunday morning radio show. It was a story that revealed how normalized the act of violence has become in urban America. It also revealed how far away many are from comprehending the roots of the crisis and its limbs of prudent solutions. The lack leaves many to blame a system that they themselves perpetuate. Matt LeBlanc of WJLA, forgive me. ABC7, I didn't read that right, reported that an unidentified woman was shot in southeast Washington, D.C. In addition to that, her injuries were not life-threatening. During the shooting, however, property damage was incurred by others, including bullets piercing parked cars. Now, many would say, when will the violence stop in these low-income neighborhoods? Others will charge to the microphones and blame the police for not providing enough protection for the residents of the city. The groans of city activists attempting to stand between the people and the problem will dutifully ask, when will the rest of the city care about Southeast D.C.? As you are reading, I know that certain biases and prejudices have come to your mind. The reign of terror reported nationally and internationally about Southeast has made the area legendary. The stories of unrestrained violence, murder, and mayhem have left many a city leader speculating that the city spent more on education, jobs training, and putting more police on the streets as long as they are not racist and can agree with the protocols of the Black Lives Matter movement, then the legends will become mythologies of an ancient uncivil time. All problems will have been abated. The Southeast referred to in Jablo's reporting has nothing to do with the legendary Berry Farms, Congress Heights, or Randall Heights. This, my friends, was Capitol Hill, home to senators, congressmen, and the elite and their staffers. The Independence Avenue Southeast community is recognized by Neighborhood Scout as the 8th safest area of the city. This is not supposed to happen in this Southeast. Maybe the other Southeast, but not this one. How can this be? We have jobs, nannies that are well educated, highly ranked police are its neighbors, manicured parks, and an electric train to nowhere. No woman in Southeast should suffer like this. Capitol Hill, I feel your pain. You have attended services to light a candle and remember Janis Milton's murder. Of course, you may not have attended if the theme was End the War on Self-Defense. It feels better when we seek to end gun violence instead. Of course, you did what persons in the other Southeast have done before you. You raged against the first group you could call sincerely responsible. The culprit? No, the system. Quote, the cars were damaged, but we have families on this block, and they very easily could have been hit by all the bullets. End quote, said Denise Krepp, ANC commissioner for the neighborhood. Krepp continues, quote, the system isn't working. It's broke, end quote. Yes, Capitol Hill, I concur. The system is broken. Rips and tears that begin in one place always have a devastating end in the other. So what shall we do? I know. In the other Southeast, ANC commissioners clamor for airtime. They demand that they meet with Mayor Muriel Bowser, Chief of Police Kathy Lanier, city council members, and city agency heads. There is a demand for more police and more response from the good neighbors, quote unquote, in the community. How shall this Southeast respond? Quote, CRAP will be meeting with D.C. Police Chief Kathy Lanier on Wednesday at 7 p.m. and encourages residents to join her to voice their concerns as well. End quote. I see that this Southeast seems to be no different than the other Southeast, except in power, prestige, influence, and wealth. As the impoverished other Southeast, you turn to the government as the bitter spring of problem and wellspring of solution. In a one-party town, you turn to the ideologists that believe it more prudent to wait for the second responder to arrive in time to fill out a report than to empower the first responder to protect himself or herself at the scene of the said attack. You're never too poor or too wealthy to learn that culprits do not obey laws, and that is why they are culprits. It does not matter if you are in the housing projects of Edgewood or the lofty Tony layers of Adams Morgan. Your geography will not protect or insulate you from the commoner that seeks to separate you from your property or your life. The system that is broken is the one built upon an ideology fully pledged to and subscribed to on both sides of the river. From pulpit to pew and home to office, the utopic thinkers have convinced the many of Washington to believe that they are safer in the clutches of a repeat offender than adhering to their God-given right to protect themselves. Milton Friedman quipped, "One of the great mistakes is to judge policies and programs by their intentions rather than their results." The best intentions of a gun-free zone city has resulted in women and children being made subject to the whims and malicious intents. And we just learned today that intent really doesn't matter, but I digress. And malicious intents of the criminal mind. Angie M. Tarigi, CEO and founder of Women's Self-Defense Institute, puts into real perspective why the subscribed war on self-defense practice in Washington, D.C. does not produce the best results. Quote, the Department of Justice, with their statistical prowess, reports that the best response time is 4 minutes. And the worst over 1 hour. Interpretation. If you live in an upper income area, you probably are privy to the 4-minute response time, while middle into rural areas will see a much longer response time. Now here is where things get interesting. Even though the Department of Justice determined that the average police response time to a 911 call is 4 minutes, the average interaction time between a criminal and his victim is 90 seconds. That translates to you being raped, robbed, injured, maimed, murdered, and waiting for an additional 2.5 minutes for the police to arrive. 1 minute and 30 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, the essay goes on. I hope that you have enjoyed the rehearsing of this before your eyes and ears. I ask that you take a few minutes and go on over to the Voice of Liberty page of the Exceptional Conservative Show. And while you're at the Exceptional Conservative Show, shop around. Take a look at all the great things. And we'd like to thank PetMeds for becoming our newest advertiser. Ladies and gentlemen, with that said and that done, this closes our particular program. We just want to say to you that a friend of mine once told me, "Can always be brave. I promise you that I always will." I also want to tell you, God's bless America. It's time for America to bless God. We'll see you tomorrow night, 9:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. God bless you.